All right, folks. You probably hear if you live in Baltimore or surrounding areas, you probably hear this gentleman every morning doing all the traffic and whatever's going on in the city of Baltimore. Normally he on the weekends he does the Navy football. He's the guy in the studio. We're talking to our good friend Scott Wykoff from WBAL Radio and part of the Navy broadcast. So, Scott, thanks for joining us this evening. So it's Army Navy week. So this time you don't have to go far this week. You got to go down to M&T Bank Stadium.
Yeah, the countdown is on, and it's kind of strange because last year it wasn't a far drive in Landover at Northwest Stadium, and this year just a stone's throw, just to head down the Jones Falls Expressway to M&T Bank Stadium. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, and Radio Row is on Friday, and all the pomp and circumstance, the march on of the Brigade of Midshipmen, the Corps of Cadets, I think begins around 11 o'clock or 12 noon on Saturday. And it's a long day for the Brigade of Midshipmen and also the Corps of Cadets because they come in force. Every student at both the schools will be at this game. So, you've got the about the 4-hour bus trip from West Point, not a long trip from Annapolis. So maybe that's the home field advantage. But in this game, you can throw out the records, throw out the home field. This is a game that's, I think, Bill Wagner of the Annapolis Capital puts it best. This is a game that's won in the trenches.
Exactly. And last year I was down there for the game at Northwest Stadium, and it's a different circumstance this year. Navy has a better record than Army. Last year, Army was basically won the American Conference after beating Tulane a week before. This time around, Navy had a better record than Army. So it's basically a role reversal. But last year, Navy took them out down in D.C.
Yeah, last year was the first year of the wing T offense with Drew Cronick. And the offense was pretty much designed that Brian Newberry, the head coach, wanted to bring in an offense that they didn't have to do new things when they would play Army, that it would be the same offense they had all year. Because in the past, he, in his previous years at the Naval Academy, realized that they were just changing things for the Army-Navy game. So he brings in Drew Cronick, the former very successful head coach at Mercer. And what did it turn out to be? It turned out to be 31 points that the midshipmen wearing the Fear the Bones uniforms in that game, and really put it to Army. The defense was smothering. That was an Army offense that had dominated the American Conference all season long and won the championship. Turnovers, like you see here, a big part of who wins or loses the Army-Navy game. And it was a game where Navy forced the turnovers and really took away what was the best running game in the nation. And you're very true. Roles are reversed. This year, Navy leads the nation in rushing. Navy was 9-1 in the American Conference. The only loss in the American Conference was to North Texas. So Navy tied for the regular season first place, ended up losing out in some of the tiebreakers. But yeah, roles are reversed, and we'll have to see if Navy can continue that, what they brought, kind of opening things up, even still playing option offense, doing it with the wing T. I mean, this season we've seen 82-yard touchdown passes to Eli Heidenreich, 52-yard touchdown runs by Blake Horvath, and a smothering defense. Though the defense struggled early in the season for Navy, in their last two games, they beat two of the best offenses maybe in college football at the time, USF and Memphis. So it's going to be a tough task always to take Army. Army's coming in the underdog. They had to win their last game of the season in San Antonio against UTSA to be bowl eligible. They did that, and now they're ready to come after the midshipmen.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game on Saturday, and it's always been a great game because I'm not doing the game this year. I have some family obligations I have to do on Saturday that I can't get down there because they need me here. But normally every year I look forward to go down to that Army-Navy game. Like last year, it was really strange trying to get in there. They had all the security around them. They had people sniffing cars with dogs, and it was really that I'd never been into that type of I guess that's what a Super Bowl is like.
Well, it's going to be the same way on Saturday, and the reason is President Trump's going to be there.
Right.
He loves the Army-Navy game. I think I don't even know if Joe Biden had gone to an Army Navy game when he was president, but the tradition goes long back to the days of John F. Kennedy, who was a Navy man, but he walked across the field for the second half of the game and sat with Army's Corps of Cadets. President Trump, the last time the game was in Baltimore, he was President-elect Trump in 2016. He had won the election, but hadn't been sworn in yet. And he was at the game at M&T Bank Stadium. And I remember I was at the game, and for about 45 minutes, there was a lockdown. So wherever you were, you couldn't move. And I was with great Baltimore Sun sports writer and columnist Peter Schmuck, and we just got out of the bathroom. So we weren't locked in. But we were stuck in that area that you're familiar with, that kind of that little balcony that would take you into the old press box at M&T Bank Stadium. And we were stuck there for 45 minutes because the president was moving, and you have all that security. And you're exactly right. It is just like a Super Bowl. It's just like a political convention. When the president's there, you're going to have security.
Well, I remember the one up in Philadelphia when he was up there, and you just see 95 completely cleared. And it was like, okay, where is he coming? And I think I was up there for 1 year. I think Biden was there for one. I think he was. But it was like, I remember out because there's that big window off to the side in the back of the press box at Lincoln Financial Field, and you can look out south on 95. 95 going.
And I remember when they shut it down, and then you just saw the motorcade coming in. It's good to be president.
Right, you get a VIP treatment to the parking lot. Like, and I never seen 95 that clear, besides a snowstorm or something going on. So that's but it's a great game, and it's one of those rivalry games. It's still no matter both teams are in the same conference now. So, but it's a non-conference game, so it doesn't affect the standings. But it's great. They're both in the same conference now.
Yeah, and it's neat for Navy this go around. They're bringing in their best record in decades into the Army Navy game at 9-2 now. Navy with an opportunity, if they win out, to go to 11 wins, and that would be the first time off the 10-win season last year that they've had 10-plus win seasons ever in Naval Academy football history. So that would be a big deal. Of course, the Army Navy game on Saturday at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, and then January 2nd, Navy heads to Memphis for the second time this year.
That's right. They are playing it. Yeah.
To the stadium formerly known as the Liberty Bowl, the game known as the Liberty Bowl at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium.
Oh, wow.
Last time Navy played in the Liberty Bowl, it was 2019, the year before COVID. Navy ended that season, I believe, either 11-2 or 11-3, and they knocked off Big 12 Kansas State. Last year, Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl knocked off Oklahoma, who was going to be in the college football playoffs. So Navy's had a pretty good run the last couple of years.
Yeah, they beat Oklahoma 21-20 last year in Fort Worth. So it's pretty cool that now Oklahoma's in the college football playoff. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, that was a big win.
Yeah. Adam, you have a question for us?
Yeah, so, this year Navy has been led by a sensational quarterback, Blake Horvath. I know he didn't play in the game versus Notre Dame, and that was one of Navy's losses, but just talk about the impact that Blake Horvath has had with this Naval Academy team.
He's really made a name for himself, etched his name into Naval Academy lore as one of the great quarterbacks to go to Navy. And what you need to do is win the Army-Navy game. And that's what he did in his first start last year at Northwest Stadium. He laid it all out in the line, had a huge run. I think he ran like 90 yards, almost down to, I think, to the 1 yard line before they pushed it in for a touchdown. He's the real deal. He can run the ball, he can throw the ball, and he will go down as one of the great quarterbacks in Navy history. Roger Staubach, Keenan Reynolds, part of our broadcast team on the Navy Radio Network, Ricky Dobbs. These are all great quarterbacks that have played at the Naval Academy. And I think when you say quarterbacks in the future years that have been great ones, Blake Horvath will be one of those.
Yeah, he's up for the Campbell Trophy for the academic Heisman. That's good.
Yeah,
maybe the real Heisman might come there soon. Maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive to be considered both as a potential finalist for the Heisman Trophy and also a finalist for the academic Heisman. Pretty impressive. And he got his a week ago. He received his service assignment, and he will be a Navy aviator. So a future pilot. This time next year, he won't be taking snaps from the center. He'll be a fighter pilot in Pensacola as a Top Gun.
Oh,
I was down there. Actually, was down there last summer. We went fishing too. My uncle and I went to Orange Beach, Alabama. We flew into Pensacola, and I said to my brother, "I'm like, the Blue Angels are over here, dude. Yeah, do you want to go see it?" And he goes, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah." And they have a. I didn't get a chance to go over there because I wanted to go there. I was only there for like 2 days, and that was it. But they have this like museum for the Blue Angels, and it would have been cool to go over and see. And they had a flight simulator that I heard, and I'm like, "Oh, that'd be cool to sit in there and be like one of the Top Guns guys, flying that thing. That would be neat." But didn't get a chance to go over there, so I would love to get there again. So anyway, well, let's talk about the quarterback from Navy. I just found out something. This is really interesting. He's playing in the same stadium on Saturday that some guy named Lamar Jackson plays.
That's right.
And he's the first player since Lamar Jackson to get 1,000 yards passing and 1,000 yards rushing back-to-back season.
It's pretty impressive. And the thoughts in these service academy games in the past was, the first team to complete a pass wins. Well, those days are out the window. As you see, he has thrown for over 1,000 yards, rushed for over 1,000 yards, and you cannot put 8 guys in the box, 9 guys in the box anymore against Navy because they will spread it out. And they've got a wide receiver in Nathan Kent, who is a world-class sprinter, who has been to the Olympic trials, the last 2 Olympics, one of the fastest men in all of NCAA track and field. He's one of the receivers they've incorporated now for the first time ever in recent memory in a Navy offense, a tight end. Before in the old triple option, Paul Johnson and Kenny Amatololo, really no tight end. Now with the wing T, the old Delaware wing T, the Tubby Raymond wing T that's been brought to Navy by Drew Cronick, tight end, a very important position because it can block for the run, but it also can open up the passing game, and Blake Horvath has taken advantage of it. And one of the reasons he has is Eli Heidenreich. What used to be called the slot back at Navy is now called a snipe. Eli Heidenreich is the leading receiver in Navy football history for a number of touchdown catches, for career yards, and he is being scouted by just about every NFL team. He plays the game like a Wes Welker, like a Julian Edelman, like a Christian McCaffrey. He is that type of player. And I asked Navy head coach Brian Newberry flat out, I said, can he play in the NFL? And he said, there is no question in my mind that Eli Heidenreich is an NFL player. Rayon Lane, who's in the NFL now, playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars, one of the top special team guys as a rookie in the NFL, played in the Army-Navy game last year. Also a Baltimore guy, played his high school football at Gilman.
Oh, wow. That's great. It's awesome. But, this game is so great, Scott. It brings everybody from our country together, for one big day. And you got your Army, you got your Navy, you got your people who don't like each other for the day, but they're all brothers. No matter after the game is over.
After the whole goal from this game is to win. And if you win, you sing second. One of the greatest spectacles in all of sports is when the either brigade of midshipmen are joined by the football team or the corps of cadets are joined by their football team to sing. The team that loses the game sings first, and the champions, the winners, sing second. And if you play football at the service academies, your lone goal all year long in the Army-Navy game is to sing second.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And you have another question for Scott?
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, Scott. I believe that the winner of this game also will win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. So just what would it mean for Navy to bring home the Commander-in-Chief's trophy back to Annapolis?
The Commander-in-Chief's trophy goes to the service academy that wins the series during the year. Army, Navy, Air Force. Both Navy and Army have defeated Air Force. So that means this is winners take all for the Chiefs trophy. Whoever wins this game, it's a massive trophy. I know you've probably seen it at Media Row or game days at the stadium for the Army Navy game. And with that, you also get a trip to the White House. And last year, Navy got a chance to go to the White House, meet President Trump. President Trump was yucking it up with Blake, throwing the ball around, having a good time. So it's a big thrill. And it's amazing. Navy is into their last regular season game, Army Navy game. Then they'll have the bowl game, but the last regular season game, and they still have every goal they have set before them. First goal was to beat Air Force.
Nice.
That goal. The next goal was to win the American Conference. They tied for first place in the American Conference. The next goal is to beat Army, and the final goal would be to win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy because they beat Air Force. A win against Army would bring that home. So that'll be big stuff on the line. But you know that Jeff Monken's Black Knights of the Hudson, that long gray line from West Point, is going to be fired up to do what Navy did last year. Navy upset Army last year. This year, the line is, I think, 5.5 or 6.5. And at last check, the over and under, I think, was 35 or 36 points. That's a tough one now because Navy can score and so can Army. So, you'd always take the under in the Army Navy game, but maybe take the over. Last year, Navy scored 31 points on their own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. So it's going to be a great game on Saturday down there at M&T Bank Stadium. Scott, when is the pregame show on Saturday start for you guys?
WBAL Radio, our pregame show begins at 11 o'clock. I'll be joined by the captains, Blake Horvath and Landon Robinson. I'll be joined by head coach Brian Newberry, the midshipman, offensive coordinator Drew Cronick. We'll also talk to defensive coordinator PJ Volker. We'll hear from Luke Pierce, Eli Heidenreich. We'll also hear from some of the younger players they're coming up. A number of sophomores will be playing in their first Army-Navy game. Navy has an offensive lineman who is a freshman who will be starting in this game. So,
wow.
So our pregame show at WBAL will be from 11 to 2, and then from 2 to 3, it'll be the Navy Radio Network pregame show, and then the kickoff a little bit after 3 o'clock, the flybys, the Blue Angels, the Black Hawk helicopters, the march on of the Brigade of Midshipmen, the long gray line, the Corps of Cadets. It really is a bucket list item, and it is a ticket that is tough to get. I think luxury boxes are going for upwards of $30,000. Tickets are going through the roof. So it's going to be a day that a lot of folks are been waiting for to enjoy this experience that is the greatest rivalry in all of sports.
And if you don't have that money, you can sit there and turn down the TV sound and listen to the Navy Radio Network here in Baltimore. You can watch it on CBS Sports Network. They'll have the Inside College Football. They'll have the march on. You'll see that whole brigade of the middies and the cadets going on the field, and then they'll get ready for the pregame show on CBS. And then good old Brad Nestor and Gary Daniels will be doing it. Gary Daniels is actually retiring after this game. So
yeah, this will be his final Army-Navy game. And
yes.
It's been an unbelievable list of broadcasters over the year. Vern Lundquist, Brad Nessler, who will be doing the game on Saturday, Jim Nance, Ian Eagle, Vin Scully, Brent Musburger.
Yes, yeah. He did it with
Nelson. After once Notre Dame had the ball. So, so it's really a game that's really a part of the culture. And it's the only FBS college football game today. This day in big boy college football is reserved for the Army-Navy game. So everybody will be watching.
But you can't forget Keith Jackson doing it during the early 90s. He was
that's right.
Yeah, you gotta love that guy, But it's also people don't realize Boomer Esiason was an analyst too.
Boomer Esiason did a few. What will be sad is this will be our first Army-Navy game since the passing of the voice of the midshipman, Pete Medhurst.
Right.
Yes.
For over 15 years was the voice of the midshipman, play-by-play announcer, not only for football, but for basketball and lacrosse and all sorts of sports on the yard. Died at the age of 55 in January. Also very sad, too. This will be the first Army-Navy game without John Feinstein, who wrote, he wrote the definitive book about the Army-Navy game, where he went behind the scenes, called A Civil War. John passed away in February. So, and both Pete and John were part of our broadcast. So it'll be a time that we'll think about them and honor them in our broadcast and really try to do them proud in the game that really defined their careers. Pete as a play-by-play broadcaster and John Feinstein, he's covered it all, but he said the greatest event he ever covered was the Army-Navy game.
And you can't forget Craig Heist. Yeah, Craig Heist passed away too. So
Heist would always be at the game if it was in ball. Craig Heist would have been there Saturday because he would have been stringing for Infinity Radio Network or for somebody. And we lost Craig Heist also this past year.
Yeah, and also Scott, a lot of people may not know about Pete Medhurst. He was in the world of horse racing. He was a harness racing track announcer at Rosecroft Raceway. So,
he was one of the great voices of Snake Red Racing. And I remember times that he couldn't host what we call the Navy Insider Show on Thursday nights during the football season on WBAL because he'd be at the track. But what he would do is he would call in and time out his appearance during the parade, the post parade.
Yes.
Asked him a question going,
that's right.
Number 4 horse, biscuits and gravy, ridden by. So Pete, he was amazing. He could do play-by-play of anything. Just this past weekend was the Army-Navy swim meet at Lejeune Hall on the yard at the United States Naval Academy. Pete used to do that. He loved women's volleyball. He did water polo, wrestling, all sorts of sports. So we will honor his memory at the Army-Navy game on Saturday.
Cool, Pete.
It's going to be a very interesting game. And Scott, before we let you go, the quarterback for the Navy did not get selected for the Heisman. The
announcement tonight. We were hoping that he'd be getting on a helicopter and zipping off from right after the Army-Navy game to New York to the downtown athletic club, looking out over Central Park, but not going to be the case. But hey, you know what? Even to be considered as a potential finalist, a Heisman hopeful, is pretty impressive. And as we all know, Roger Staubach back in the day, one of 2 Navy Heisman Trophy winners. Of course, a couple of years before Roger Staubach won it as a quarterback, Joe Bellino won it as a running back before going on to his career, not only in the United States Navy, but also with the old Boston Patriots.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
wow. Well, Scott, I appreciate you coming on tonight, and I want to wish you and your family a happy holiday season and enjoy the game.
Love the helmet.
All right, yeah.
And I can say I love the uniforms that Army and Navy had this weekend as well.
They're great. The 250th anniversary of the United States Navy, Old Ironsides, a lot of fun. And thanks for having.
So, what do you have to do differently this year to stop him? Because I know last year he got you with that wing tee that used to be good in Delaware.
They do a really good job with their offense. Coach Cronick, their offensive coordinator, has done a tremendous job, and he's got a great quarterback. Blake Horvath is an outstanding player. He's been incredibly productive the last 2 years. Certainly this year again, rushing and passing for over 1,000 yards. He's a really good runner. He's hard to tackle, and he does a great job distributing the ball. They've got a lot of playmakers on their team. They're very skilled, very talented team, and he does a really good job of taking care of those teammates and taking care of the ball. And they've got a really productive offense. And for us to say, oh, we got a plan and this is what we're going to do, everybody that has played them has tried to develop a plan for that guy, for number 11. And he gets the best of most of them. And so for us to be able to do that, we're going to have to execute really well our game plan, our assignments, our fundamentals, and hope that we can slow him down. Nobody's been able to stop that guy, that's for sure. So hopefully we can just slow him down enough.
And my last question to ask you, I know you have that bowl game coming up in 3 or 2 weeks. This is still, I know you guys want to win this game Saturday for Army and for the unit, but also having that bowl game, this is good to see what you guys look like in the next couple of weeks with that game coming up in Fenway Park.
I'll let you know next week after we play this game. I frankly, there is nothing on the minds of anybody in this program but the game this Saturday. People have tagged fights of the century and game of the century. This is a game of a lifetime for us. That's what this game is, the magnitude of it. So we're fully engaged in this game and trying to get prepared for that one. And I'm glad that we get a chance to play an extra game. As I was talking about the bowl games and the whole deal with college football and opt-outs and those kinds of things. I can tell you that this team's glad. We're glad that we have an opportunity to play another game, but we're going to think about that one in a few days after we get a chance to go to Baltimore and battle it out with Navy.
Thanks, everybody.